Hello and welcome to another wonderful Rowan tutorial. Today we're going to be rigging in Blender 3.6 and using the Avastar 3.6. Yes, I have the legacy body and my cat just sneezed behind me. This is the legacy body. I'm also in the beta grid on my alt using he sneezed again, using the legacy body for testing. So let's go back to Blender 3.6, have Avastar. I made this in Marvelous, I made this shirt in Marvelous Designer for the regular legacy body. So when you open the blend file, you're going to see all these are going to be open. You just drag, bloop, 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 and then you're down to one body. So the first things you want to do is import, and Marvelous Designer exports as a .obj. So go find where you put it. And I usually name it by body because I do each one separately. And it brings it in. Check, make sure it fits pretty good, pretty well. Then the first thing you want to do is solidify. Now don't make it too small, so that is good. That's about the weight of a real fabric. Any smaller and it looks like it's a paper. And you can see it just adds a little bit of thickness and depth to your item. Now we're going to look at it, and as you can see there's a little bit of wrinkles, but before we do anything else, we're going to pull this up here. We're going to go to the UV editor. Now when you take it out of Marvelous Designer, when you export it in Marvelous Designer, you usually have the UV map. So you go up here to edit mode, A to select all. Oh, look, and now it's down here. Click this back and forth arrow which syncs it. Click on that, select none. Now we're going to go and hold our Alt key down while we click, and that is going to select just the edges. Now if you hold Alt and Shift at the same time, you can add all the edges. And you're like, why do we want to do that? Well, because when you're working in Marvelous Designer and you make a clothing item, you usually use what would really be clothing pieces in real life. So what you do with those is we're going to go up here to edge and we're going to mark sharp. That's going to keep those edges sharp. That way they'll actually look like seam lines, and that's what you want. Now if I wanted to, I don't need to, but if I wanted to, I'm going to show you how to make faces. First you go to object mode and you have your fabrics here. You would delete both of those, and then you would go back to edit mode, for all. Then you're going to zoom out here. You're going to make sure that's the little back and forth arrows sync. Do the um, faces or islands. When it's in UV, these are called islands. And this, you're going to click here and go, this is all. You always need one called all. Assign, that is all. Select none. L helps you select islands. So that would be the back and the front of the top. And if you want those to be a separate island, you go X, you hit the little plus here, new, name it top or whatever you want to call it, assign, select none. Then if you want the straps to be a separate layer, and on and on and on. I don't want to do that. I liked the way it was set up, so I'm going to go back a little bit. And because I don't mind that. That is fine with me. The way that is set up already is fine with me. Um, okay, so since we're using Avastar, now that we've solidified and marked sharp, let's go to Mesh Inspector and see what it says. And it says 8,900. That's fine. That's good. Usually you don't want more than like 25,000 per face, but since this is all of them were good. That's a pretty good. We're going to go to the toolbox. We're going to hit doubles, and that says down here, object has no duplicate verts. Yay, that's good. Now, let's go to sculpting mode and grab the smooth button. Go up here to tool, Check your brushes. Take the strength down a little bit because we really don't want to smooth this out too much. It's just, we're going to take this radius up a little bit because we just want to soften some of these a little bit. Oh, look, it looks weird. Don't worry, we'll fix that. We're just softening these just a little bit because they are a little crinkly, right? And now they kind of look weird because they've got weird shadows even where there's not. We're going to fix that. We go to edit mode, all, Alt N brings up normals, and you want to reset your vectors. And now if we go back to object mode or sculpting mode, you'll see, except for where I didn't quite get it all the way smoothed out there. Still a little weird there. Ta-da! Now all those weird bits are gone. Now you can look up here, make sure there's no weird bits up here. Snazzy, huh? It's so easy. Now, we've got this looking pretty good. Now we got to do the hard part. I'm going to go into weight paint mode. We're going to hit this little gear here, which is modifiers, add modifier, armature, the rig. Okay. Then using Avastar, we click on the Avastar tab. We go up to weight copy, copy from meshes. You can slide this open to make sure you pick the right body. If you have most of them, you can get rid of most of them. But feminine barefoot, that's the one we have open. That's the one we're using. And then update weights. Done. Not done. We have copied over our weights. Now if you go down here to the toolbox, it's going to say weight limit exceeded. Don't worry about that right now. Got those on. This is the dots up here. Select all with A. A, all. That's the easy one. Now we're going to go down here to our flux capacitor. We're going to go at chest, and we're going to look at our chest, and we're going to go to tool, and we're going to go to mix, leave it at one weight, but we're going to take this strength way down because we just want to give it just a little bit more right here. Try to line this line up so you know which is, there you go, right there. Now we're going to go to our right pec, and we're going to take this down to 0. And that strength up just a little bit because we just want to take some of this off. I did a tutorial on this a little while ago about how to do this, what they could call, well, I called it fixing because there's this weird overlap sometimes you'll see with boobs. And what we're trying to do is get a pretty good rainbow of weight because it goes from red on the nippley area to a very pale, almost invisible blue all the way over here. So you really want that to be very soft. And the best way to do that is your blur tool, blur, 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 blur. You can also, if you want, go to weights, smooth, and that's going to pop up down there, and turn that to a 10. It really does smooth that out. Now you go over to your left pec, and we do the same thing. Go back up here to our draw tool. We're adding, let's subtract, because we want to get rid of some of this. Make that a little bit smaller. And we want to add just a little bit because we've really taken it, it goes really well from, goes really bright red to green here. So we want to just add just a little bit of yellow in here because we need it to be just a bit smoother. And you'll probably end up doing this 7 or 8, 9, 10 times because that's the way it goes. Even though we smoothed it out. Everything else should be okay for now. For now. Now that we've got this where we want it, let us go back to object mode and file, export as Collida. Make sure you click here, put it where you want to put it. This is where I put all my stuff. You can put yours wherever you want. And I will name it Legacy. Quincy top, Legacy. Then we will collide and you get your little square there that goes with numbers as it goes. And it's going to say your export is okay, but it could be improved because we did not limit our weight count to 4. Don't limit your weight count until you're sure you like the way it looks on the beta grid. So we're going to build, upload, mesh model. Don't worry about the money because you get automatic money being on the beta grid, but you can't do anything with it more than upload. You can't pay anybody with it. You can't buy anything. You can upload stuff. That's about it. But those uploads do not count in the regular grid. So here we go. We're going to check this out on our legacy body. And you can already see that we have a little glitchy there. We're just in the slow motion running, which is a good one, especially to check for bounce because it's got a good bounce to the breast areas. And you can see we need to adjust our breast area a little bit down there. Let's see how the rest of our rigging goes. Let's do the shoulder wiggle. Shoulder wiggle. Because sometimes you'll have little holes pop up here in the back area, and those are your clavicles. This is usually clavicles, especially if you've got like you see a tiny bit up there in the clavicles. We can fix that with the rigging. Make sure it's on both sides. Yeah, usually symmetrical stuff you're going to see it on both sides, but so we're going to look at this here. We're going to go back to our blender, back to our weight painting. Let's go back to our right pec and see, looks like we need to add just a little bit more, a little stronger in the underside here, just a little bit stronger, which means stronger is bright red and less strong is very pale blue. So we're just gonna add a little bit in here. Now let's see on our grid, how are we looking? We don't seem to have much of a valley. The best way to test for me, the best way I like to test is I put a high shine on here, and I will also go grab a texture from our library textures. Usually tie-dye, don't know why, I just like the tie-dye. But you can see if there is a weird overlap right here in the middle. And it looks like we have basically taken care of that. There is no weird overlap. Let me see if I can take it off the shine so you can see it too. You will see it. I did make a smaller. I've been trying to work with, see how it looks on smaller breasts. So let's go with the Legacy skinny shape. And it seems to still be pretty good and flat. We did lose that little part there where it was. We'll put our curvy bodies back on. And you see that the boobs pop out just a little bit underneath here. But you see there is no overlap. And I could show you some overlap. I should probably do that. Let me show you some overlap on some old stuff that I've worked on before. Let me take that off. And I will put the same texture on here. My favorite, tie-dye. And you'll see how there is like a weird bunching of the material here. And on an even larger chest, it will overlap and look weird. Yeah, so that's just something you have to, I've heard from other people that this is a good way to do it, and I like to share my knowledge, so that's the way I do it. It's a lot of back and forth, back and forth. You can see I was working with the Erica top earlier, and it took me, what, 8 or 9 times to get it right. But it looks like the only thing I need to really worry about now is the under boob. Got a little bit of under breast popping out. Let's check our side-to-side rigging. Woo. That's got a good boob wobble too. I do have extreme physics on just because I'm testing the rigging. So if you notice she's really wobbly, yes, That is the purpose. Looks like it's good side to side too. Let's go. Tried to fix this. Um, I should tell you guys what buttons I'm holding. I'm just holding down the button to do this. The left mouse button. And you kind of want to try and make them symmetrical, although we all know most boobs are not symmetrical. So, okay, we've fixed this a little bit. Let's go back to, you have to be in object mode to export in Kaleida. Don't know why, but you do. Go back, and you can just resave it over the same name. And you got your little square. It's going to come up and give you numbers. Doodle-doodle-doo. Yes, I know it could be improved, but I'm working on it. So we will come over here, take this one off, build, upload, mesh model, same one. And, oh, still popping out the bottom. Okay, well, let's see where that is on, that would be like way up under here. So let's see what it looks like way up under here on our right pec. We can just give it just a little bit more. And we can also go to our sculpt mode, grab the inflate, zoom out way, give it just a little poof. Just poof it up just a tiny bit. Let's see if that helps. Let's go back to weight mode. Bloop. Now let's look at our clavicles, because our clavicles, shoulder and clavicle. I'm going to go ahead, instead of weight painting, because it seems to be flat, we're just going to go give it a little bit of a fluff there. So maybe it won't fall in so much. It's a very inexact science. Just flattening out that little wrinkle there. I didn't like it. It was a bad wrinkle. I did not like it. If you see any weird areas where the shading looks a little weird in this area, just go to the edit mode, Alt N, and reset the vectors. And then back to object mode, and anything that looked a little weird will be fixed. Hopefully. Okay, let's see if we fixed it this time. We will export it again as an Kaleida, Avastar, wait for the numbers. It can tell us we're wrong. We say, that's fine. We'll fix it later. Build, upload, mesh model. Yay! We fixed it! Yay! Still a tiny bit there on the shoulder, but I'm not going to worry about it because how many people move their arm that way? And it looks good. Let's do the other riggings. Make sure yeah, maybe a little bit on the bounce. So a little bit on the bounce. That's going to be more of the under boob. So let's go back to our right pec. Let's see why the right pec is doing it, but the left pec isn't. What does the left pec look like? Yeah, it's a little bit more down there. So we're just going to grab this, maybe just do it a little bit more. Maybe give it a little blur. Like I said, you could do this 7, 8, 9 times until it's perfect. This is how everybody, who makes clothing, they get it perfect, is they do this over and over and over and over and over again. until you think it's the way you want it to be. Upload. Okay. Have we fixed it? Okay, let's get our wiggle boobs going. Yes. Yes. We have fixed it. I think. Let's try the slow motion boobs. Yes. Woo! Looks good to me. Awesome sauce. So then if you think it's fine here, you can upload it in your regular SL, which I can do. Um, don't look at my inventory, it's messy. Upload mesh model, and we will upload this one. What we're going to do is, if I calculate weights and fees right now, it's going to be $89 just to 89 lindens, and the land impact is going to be 64. So what most people do is we zero out the lowest and the low LODs. And now my land impact is less than 1. It's an upload fee of only 12. And you go ahead and upload it. And there you go. And now it's in your inventory. And you can res it. And when you do that solidify, that gives you this you'll see some stuff you'll see that has you can't if you look at it through the inside it's going to be invisible. That's because they didn't solidify it, and you'll see it's got a nice like actual like fabricy thickness to it. And the ruffle looks good. And the land impact, if you just hover over it, says 1. Yay! So that's awesome. That's completely awesome. And that's it from Blender to Avastar. Now that I've got it perfect the way I want it, I'll show you how to do the limit. You come to your toolbox and it says blah 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 with weights. So you go to weight, limit tool, and done. Then you click it again to check, and it says, yay, we're good. And then you check your doubles. Now you officially finish it. You save it. Object mode, export as a Kaleida. And you're not going to get an error this time. It's just going to give you numbers in the little box. Exported one mesh. Then you can upload it. When you're done, with your making it for legacy, I always save as .blend. That way, if something comes up, I can come back and fix it pretty easily. It does mean I have a lot of files on my computer, but storage is cheap, and I'd rather not have to come back and remake it completely from scratch. So it was a little bit of a longer tutorial, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon.